The word of Yah is the authority and standard for righteousness and the righteous. All of Yah's instructions are righteousness declared by the heavens.
All of Yah's instructions are righteousness declared by the heavens.
All of the righteous do what is right in the sight of Yah.
All of the righteous do what is right in the sight of Yah.
The word of Yah became flesh. With the shedding of his blood, the new covenant inheritance and the kingdom draw near to those who repent and trust him, aka live as he instructs. Those who are committed to trust him are faithful and abide in his doctrine.
Intermission. Be aware and beware.
As matters of the word of Yah, his Torah and testimony, kingdom, righteousness, faithfulness, mercy, favor, and people are addressed moving forward, it is becoming increasingly imperative that particular considerations are addressed for context and for clarity. The following is a portion of a larger examination that is yet to come. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly false prophets
Are ravening wolves.
Ye shall know false prophets by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by false prophets' fruits you shall know false prophets. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven.
The Father's will is his instruction, commandments, Torah.
The aforementioned false prophets will not enter the kingdom.
They will be hewn down and cast into the fire. Beware and be aware.
That Yeshua, the word of Yah, says that many shall come in his name, saying, I am Christ,
Anointed.
and shall deceive many. This speaks of those who deceive and those who are deceived by them. The word of Yah privately commanded his disciples for them to take heed
Beware. Be aware.
that no man such as those he described deceive them.
Strong's G 458, anomia.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that
Anomia.
Work iniquity.
Anomia.
Practice lawlessness.
Anomia.
is not to be disassociated from the evil, wicked fruit of false prophets.
Anomia.
Is identified by the word of Yah as the product of their work. The product, produce, fruit of their work is
Anomia.
the word of Yah says that many who claim I am anointed will arise, come to prominence, and deceive many. And because
Anomia.
shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. A letter attributed to John, one of the 12 designated witnesses specifically named apostles by the word of Yah, says that whoever commits sin transgresses also the law, Torah, for sin is.
Anomia.
And also says that love with regards to Yah and those who are his is keeping his commandments without it being grievous or burdensome. Faithfully love Yah, keep his commandments, and be saved, versus
Anomia.
produced by the deception of those who come to prominence, claiming to be anointed and arguably are themselves deceived about the identity, name, power they operate under. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. This consideration is not to be overlooked or left out of Yeshua's gospel of the kingdom. Consider the notion of any man claiming to be anointed,
Mashiach.
showing great signs and wonders that only the elect are not deceived by. Consider the notion of any man introducing a Christ,
Or Messiah.
giving mysteries in the desert or some undisclosed location, as opposed to the one who was witnessed in countless specific locations, publicly preaching the kingdom and being witnessed as a man, entrusting the mystery of the kingdom to at least 12 individuals he specifically identified from among his disciples as apostles. Consider the notion of any man approaching the same audiences of Jews and Gentiles who are preached to by the 12 designated witnesses of Yeshua. Compare the above observations with the following accounts offered from passages cited in the canons of Christendom,
also known as Holy Bibles.
Consider Luke's second letter to Theophilus,
Also known as Acts.
and how many of the people in Acts 2 that first heard the good news preached by Peter were from Parthia, Medes, Elamites, Mesopotamia, Cappadocia, Pontus, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Crete, and Arabia, all generally known as Asia, later in history identified as Asia Minor, and that the Galatians, Ephesians, Colossians, and Thessalonians also lived in what was generally known as Asia, later in history identified as Asia Minor. Consider that in Luke's second letter to Theophilus, some were forbidden to preach in Asia, but spent years repeatedly doing so, only to be rejected, ran out, warned against, arrested, and almost executed by those who were in or from these places in Asia. Passionate for Yah's Torah, read Psalm 119, faithful to Yeshua, and witness that forbidden preaching in Asia for years. According to Luke's second letter to Theophilus, they recognized that it was against Yah's Torah, aka
anomia.
there is no part of Asia that is identified named as an exception. Consider the letters attributed to Peter written to Galatians and others in Asia who were scattered.
Also known as 1st and 2nd Peter.
The letter to the Galatians attributed to Paul implies that the assembly in Galatia knew who Peter was, unless there were two groups that were independently established, one affiliated with Peter and one with Paul. The Galatians were an assembly of people who were familiar with both the gospel of Peter and his companions,
Hypocrites, not pillars, according to the letter written to them attributed to Paul.
mentioned throughout chapter 1 of his
Peter's
first letter to them, and the gospel of Paul and his companions,
mentioned in chapter 1 of his Paul's letter to them.
according to the letter
To them attributed to Paul.
the Galatians turned away from Paul's gospel. Both the second letter to Timothy attributed to Paul
Chapter 1.
and the letter to the 7 assemblies in Asia attributed to Yeshua or John, known as Revelation,
Chapter 2 and 3.
also agree with these considerations. According to what is offered in the canons of Christendom, the people warned about by the word of Yah privately to his disciples had already began to come to prominence.
Also in 1 John chapter 2 verse 18.
Historically speaking, many who deceive and are deceived about who the anointed one is or isn't, what gospel is or isn't cursed, who is and isn't an apostle sent to the nations or Gentiles by Yeshua, the word of Yah, whether Yah's Torah is perfect and permanent or if it is obsolete and insufficient, whether Peter, James, and John are pillars, chief apostles sent to the Gentiles or nations, or hypocrites sent only to the Jews, whether or not the doctrine of the word of Yah or the doctrine of Pharisees is something to beware of, left, obeyed, taught, taken heed to, held fast to, should one abide in it, and should one go after the anointed one who was witnessed with or by the 12, or the one in the desert privately revealed directly to a Pharisee, are arguably recognizable according to the fruit of their works. Bind up the testimony, seal the Torah among my disciples. To the Torah and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Eyes to see, ears to hear. To be continued. Yeshua is the word of Yah.
Shalom.